Ladies and gentlemen, federal employees, there are 7 things that this open season you need to be worried about when picking a federal employee health benefit plan, a health insurance plan. These are the 7 things that you have to be thinking about to find the best plan for you. Now, this video is specifically for active federal employees. If you are retired or retiring, I'm going to make a whole separate video for you because the options for you in Medicare and all the other things are just, it's different. It's different. There's different things you need to be worried about. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to write, there's going to be a big article about all of this, whether you're an active federal employee or a retired federal employee. Just click the article below and you'll find the video for retirees. So definitely check that out. Now, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Dallin Hawes. I'm a financial planner who serves federal employees and federal retirees every single day. Absolutely love it. But let's go ahead and dive right in. Again, we're here to talk about the things you need to be looking at and thinking about when picking an FEHB plan, okay? So whether you're first starting out as a federal employee and this is your first FEHB plan you're picking, or you've been in 20 years, you've had Blue Cross Standard the entire time, and you're curious, is this really the best plan for me? Okay, here are the things you need to be thinking about when picking a plan. Okay, let's dive in. Number 1, we need to, as quickly as you possibly can, when open season rolls around, the first thing you need to do is to weed out the losers. Okay, to weed out all the plans, because there's tons of plans that don't make sense for you off the top that are easy to weed out. Number 1, we got to weed things out by location. So when making a selection on FEHB, you want to use some sort of tool to help make that selection, okay? For example, OPM. OPM, and I'll put the link to it below, to OPM's tool, is they have a tool to let you look through and search by location which plans are available. So that's number 1. Use a tool like that to see which plans are actually offered in your area, just to weed out all the things that you don't want to even look at, okay? Number 2. OPM has a great tool, like I said, but also Checkbook, I'm going to link this one up below as well, has an even better tool that allows you to see more information and to search and to really hone down exactly what you're looking for even easier. I'll link that below. But both of those tools will be the baseline for you, making sure you find a plan that weeds out all the locations you're not living in, right? That covers your location. That's huge. And number 2, the second thing you want to be looking at right from the beginning is what type of plan are you looking for, right? There's a few different types. There's an HMO, which these plans tend to be localized, where you've got to basically stay within network, right? And if you go out of network, it can get very, very expensive. There's a PPO, where there's preferred providers, but there's a lot more flexibility to go out of network, okay? There's high deductible plans. Those are the types of plans that if you already know what type of plan you're interested in, you can use the OPM tool, you can use the Checkbook tool to weed out all the other plans that you're really not looking at. You can weed them out by plan type and location. Those are the first things to do to weed out all the plans that really don't make sense for you, okay? Once you've done both of those things, the next thing that you want to look at is cost. Okay, when we're talking about any type of insurance, whether life insurance, car insurance, home insurance, or health insurance, cost is a huge one, right? If it's an incredible insurance, but it costs you $1 million a year, it's not worth it, okay? It's not worth it. Cost is a big, big deal. But what do we actually care about when it comes to cost? Well, premiums matter, certainly, right? Premiums, okay. However, are premiums the only thing we care about? And the answer is no. No. If the premiums are really low, but it doesn't cover anything, well, that's a problem. That's a problem. So what you actually want to look at is a more comprehensive look at cost and look at things like deductibles, right? Basically, how much you have to pay out of pocket before the insurance company comes in and starts paying, right? Those are some important things to look at. Or what about max out-of-pocket costs, right? Every plan has a max out-of-pocket cost where once you've paid personally out of your pocket X amount of dollars for a given plan year, then the insurance company will cover basically everything after that. So look at those numbers. What's the deductible? How much do you have to pay out of pocket before they start paying? And how much total can you pay until they start covering everything? Okay, that's the max out-of-pocket cost and deductible. You want to be looking at those. Now, if you use Checkbook's tool, okay, again, Checkbook, Checkbook, if you use their tool, again, I'll link it up below, it is extremely helpful in looking at cost and comparing plans by cost. Because not only do they have, of course, premiums and what those are going to be, but they can show you, given if you have a very low healthcare cost year or a medium healthcare cost year or a high cost year, what it would actually cost you between premiums and out-of-pocket costs total, right? It shows you and compares plans side by side of, okay, if you have average medical expenses one year, what is it going to cost you total between premiums and out-of-pocket costs for each given plan? So again, Checkbook is an incredibly powerful tool. It does things that the OPM software just doesn't do. Now, Checkbook is not free. However, for many federal employees, it is. So I'll put a link below. Many of your agencies already provide it and already pay for it for you, okay? But even if they don't, even if your agency doesn't, it's only like $15, okay? It's really cheap. I don't get any kickback, I promise, for recommending it. I don't get paid at all. I just love the tool. I use it a lot in helping clients pick plans when they're looking around, okay? So it can be super, super helpful to compare cost when looking at different plans, okay? So, and again, I know many of you already have, let's say, a Blue Cross plan. So all I'm saying is just look around. Look at other plans and you'd be very surprised that there's some awesome plans out there that aren't necessarily Blue Cross, right? I'm not saying Blue Cross are bad. Blue Cross has some great plans. You just want to look around. You want to go in with your eyes wide open to make sure you're not leaving any money on the table, okay? So that's step number one, is weed out the things just don't make sense, obviously by location, plan type, and cost, okay? Once you weed out those, you're probably going to get down to a handful of different plans that still work for you, right? Maybe you're down to 3 or 4, okay? Once you've gotten 3 or 4 plans left, these are the next things to look at. Number one, doctors. Do you have a provider or doctor that you love seeing? Are they in network, right? Does that doctor accept the insurance that you're looking at? If the answer is yes, perfect. Go to the next step. If the answer is no, do you really want to take that insurance if it doesn't cover your favorite doctor, right? Think about that. Think about providers and doctors and hospitals and make sure the ones you like to go to accept the insurance you're looking at, okay? That's number one. That's number 2, I guess. Number 3 is drugs. Do you or a family member have drugs that you take on a regular basis that are expensive? If so, make sure your plan covers it in a way that makes sense for you, okay? If you already know about drugs you are going to have to take, make sure they're covered, okay? That's huge. Number 4, big expenses. So when I say big expenses, are there anything coming up for this next plan year that you know are coming up and you know, let's say you're having a baby. Maybe you got to get that shoulder surgery done or that back surgery or whatever it might be. How does the plan you're looking at, how would they cover it, right? Would they cover all of it? How would your deductible work? Look at those sort of things. And guess what? FEHB is so amazing. You can change plans every single year. So if you know you're going to have a baby next year, and so you get a plan that covers those sort of costs really, really well, and guess maybe it's a more expensive plan, but you could always go back to a less expensive plan the year after, right? You can always change your plan every single open season, even in retirement, okay? So that's huge. Are there big expenses coming up that you already know about and that you can plan for by finding a plan that works well for those expenses, okay? Number 5, what about out-of-area care, okay? If you pick an HMO or a sort of plan that is really strict about what providers you go to, what happens if you do go out of area and you need care? The biggest thing is that you need to understand it so that you don't get caught in owing a bunch of money when you just don't understand how your plan works. So make sure whatever plan you pick, understand if you do go to a provider that maybe doesn't accept your insurance perfectly, or how is that covered? Does your insurance company cover some of it, none of it? What do they do when you go to out of area care? Or even let's say out of the country care. What do they do then, right? If you're out of the country sometimes during the year, you want to make sure you understand how they would cover things out of the country, okay? Number 6, reviews. So when I say reviews, OPM periodically surveys and asks people how they like and how they're enjoying the different plans that they're on, okay? So I'll link these below, but long story short, there's different places on Checkbook as well as OPM to see the different areas of satisfaction that people have with these plans and how they're feeling about them. So if a plan has terrible reviews, just like an Amazon product, you're probably not going to buy something that has 2-star reviews, okay? Same thing for FEHB. Before you switch to a new plan, make sure the company has good service, right? And the reviews look good. So I'll put the links below on where to check those reviews out. But definitely want to check that out if you're switching to a new plan you've never been on before, okay? Number 7, last but very not least, triple tax savings. So is there a way to find plans that not only save you a bunch of money, but also save you a bunch of tax money, triple tax savings? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. So basically, I mentioned it earlier, but an HSA, a health savings account, an HSA, is one of the best ways to save money on health expenses and to save taxes. Now, I'm not going to go into this super in depth because we've got other things to discuss here, but to use an HSA, you have to have a high deductible health plan. Okay, you have to have a high deductible health plan. Now, those plans don't make sense for everybody. Okay, but if you're the sort of person that doesn't normally hit deductibles, you don't normally have a ton of health expenses, a high deductible health plan can make a ton of sense for you. It gives you access to a HSA, which again gives you triple tax savings. I'm going to put a link to an article that goes in depth into how an HSA works, so you can check that out. I'll put it below. Okay, please check that out if you're interested. Again, there's tons of savings you can have. Doesn't make sense for everybody, especially if you normally hit your deductible on whatever plan you have currently. If you consistently hit your deductible, probably doesn't make sense to have a high deductible plan. But you'd be surprised at how much money people save on the high deductible plans. Thousands of dollars a year just by picking a plan that is better suited for what they're doing, and having an HSA is a great thing, okay? Again, check out the article below if you want to know more. Now, here's the bonus. Let's say you get through this entire list, and there's still a couple plans that you're considering. How do we break ties? How do we say, okay, this plan probably edges out this plan by just a little bit, okay? And this is what I would look at. The last few little things I'd look at is, do they cover any dental? Many federal employee health plans cover some basic dental expenses. So do they cover any dental? If so, what do they cover? You can compare and contrast between the plans. What about vision? Many federal employee health plans cover some basic vision expenses, maybe an eye exam, maybe a first pair of glasses, that sort of thing, okay? Check out what they cover. You can compare and contrast there. Next, chiropractic. Some plans cover chiro, some don't. What about hearing aids? That's a big one. If you know, maybe you're looking at hearing aids this next year, that can be a big expense. You want to make sure make sure your plan covers it, and you can compare and contrast a few little pieces of each plan based on that, okay? So these are the things to be thinking about when picking a FEHB plan. And I know it's a lot, but I promise you, if you put in the work, if you take the time to actually understand your plan on what they cover, where they cover, out of area, what doctors you can go to, I promise you, that is going to be worth its weight in gold. And not only just saving money because you find a plan that better fits your situation, but also just in your confidence level and you actually understanding what's going on. So when you're working with the insurance, when you have expenses and you're trying to make things happen, you just understand the lingo better and you are empowered to take responsibility and power over your situation and not just calling the insurance company and say, okay, what do I owe, right? You actually understand what's going on, which empowers you, gives you the information you need. So again, if you are a federal retiree or you're getting close to 65 and you're thinking about Medicare, I'm going to do a whole other video. I'm going to link it below, okay? A whole other video that I'm going to link below about when you're approaching 65 and retirees. There's a whole other list of things you got to be thinking about when picking a plan when you are close to those ages, because Medicare is a beast and it changes a lot of things, but this is a perfect list to think about when you're an active federal employee. So I hope this is helpful. There's tons of helpful things in the description below. Feel free to check those out to make sure you can take responsibility for your life, your health insurance, all the benefits you enjoy as a federal employee to retire comfortable and confident. I hope that's helpful. Have an incredible rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time.